The Atlanta Hawks have been stuck in the middle for some time now. They played in the NBA play-in tournament for 4 straight years now, and they haven't got out the first round since their Eastern Conference run in 2021. But I truly believe that this is the year where they could take a leap and become a contender in the Eastern Conference. The Atlanta Hawks got a new front office this offseason, and so far they made every single right move. In a weak Eastern Conference that's depleted by injuries of Tatum, Dame, and Halliburton, it's a perfect time to make a swing, and that's what they exactly did. Last week, the Hawks traded Georges Niang, Terrence Mann, pick number 22, and some second-round picks in exchange for Kristaps Porzingis. Terrence Mann was a bad contract they had to get rid of after trading him for Bogdanovic, and Georges Niang was fine for them, but he was a bit overpaid, and he's perfectly replaceable. So essentially, the Hawks traded 2 bad contracts, pick number 22, and some second-round picks for Kristaps Porzingis. And when the only real asset that you're giving up is pick number 22, that's a great swing for a potential all-star caliber big in Porzingis. I know Porzingis is coming off a very rough year with the Celtics. He was sick, he was injured, and when he played, the lineups weren't good. But still, his skill set and archetype is extremely rare in the NBA. You have Chet Holmgren, Miles Turner, Victor Wembanyama, and that's basically it in terms of rim protecting stretch 5s. And the biggest thing in this trade, in my opinion, is that Trae Young has never played next to a skilled center. Capella was good a few years ago, and Nickeil-Alexander has some skills, but they're not actual skilled players with the ball in their hands like Porzingis. Porzingis is still one of the best big shooters we've ever seen, shooting 40% on high volume consistently. And he's one of the very few bigs who can space out from 30 feet and still hit consistently. KP shooting alone is going to bring so much to this Hawks team. Trae Young is one of the best in the league at creating wide open threes, and now you have Kristaps Porzingis, Zachary Ricochet, and some other wings next to him. And it gives the Hawks a lot of scheme versatility now. They can play some 5 out, they can play some 4 out, 1 in. And they have different ways to diversify their spacing, which they didn't have with Clint Capella and Nickeil-Alexander, who aren't real 3-point shooters. Porzingis is going to open a lot for Trae Young in the pick and roll too. Trae Young is obviously a physically limited guard with his size, so he needs to play off switches a lot, and Porzingis will get a lot of switches for Trae Young. Because teams don't want to concede a wide open KP free in the pick and pop, they usually have to switch, putting a smaller guard on KP and a big on Trae Young. This will lead to a lot of easy offense between KP being a good post-up player and Trae Young being able to beat bigs off the dribble. And it isn't like Porzingis is just limited to playing the pick and pop. He can play in the pick and roll, and he's obviously a lob threat to a degree. Trae Young is one of the best lob passers ever, and I think Kristaps has enough juice to be a reliable threat there. And I also just think having another scoring option on this team is going to open so much for Jalen Johnson, who had to take so much pressure as a secondary scorer. When you have a downhill forward like that, you really want a shooting 5 so you can stretch the floor, and obviously Jalen Johnson gets that on Porzingis. He's going to be able to play off the wing a lot more and play into space and use all of his athleticism to get to the rim. Porzingis also gives the Hawks a new ceiling defensively. I think Nickeil-Alexander is a great defender, but Clint Capella is not. And having a full 48 minutes when they're healthy of Nickeil-Alexander and Kristaps Porzingis rim protection is going to be huge for this team and overall defense going forward. I also don't think Porzingis is limited to playing the 5, obviously, so him and Nickeil will be able to play together, and that's going to offer a lot of overall rim protection at the rim. Now, of course, everything I said depends on if they stay healthy, and obviously that's hard considering Porzingis' track record. But taking this risk for only 1 late first round pick is a no-brainer, and you got a potential top 35 player in the NBA for dirt cheap. If the Porzingis experiment ends up bad, you can let him walk in free agency because he isn't expiring. If it goes good, you just found the big for the future for Trae Young and someone you can keep long term. Now going into draft night, the Hawks could have really used any prospect, just get the best player available, so I didn't really have much expectations. But the Hawks came out that night with one of the best value trades we've ever seen. The Hawks were apparently going to take Asa Newell at number 13 for weeks, and they reportedly even had a promise for him. And New Orleans already liked Derek Queen, one of their top guys on their board, and he was available at number 13. So the Pelicans decided to overpay to the max and trade pick number 23 and their unprotected first round pick or Bucks first round pick next year. And for a team that just finished bottom 5 in the league standings, that's one of the juiciest picks in the entire NBA. There's a very good chance the Pelicans miss the playoffs like they have the last few years, but there's also a very legit chance they're also one of the worst teams in the league again in a stacked Western Conference and with all their injury issues. And in the 2026 draft class, with one of the most stacked top 5s we've seen in a while, including AJ, Cam Boozer, Darren Peterson, and some others, There's a cool 20 to 25% chance that the Hawks just picked up a franchise cornerstone in this trade. And no matter what, like I said, there's a very good chance this pick is better than pick number 13. But what I think the best part of this trade was, is that they still got the guy they wanted at number 13 at pick number 23. They picked Asa Newell at 23, a Georgia forward that grew up in Atlanta. And now, on a night that was supposed to be pretty uneventful for the Hawks, they come away with an unprotected 2026 pick from one of the worst teams in the league, and they got their guy that they were going to take at 13. And now enter the free agency, and the Hawks just acquired one of the best forwards on the market, Nickeil-Alexander Walker. He's coming off an outstanding Western Conference Finals appearance against the Thunder, where he was driving well, where he was playing pretty good defense on Shea, and hitting his threes at a pretty high clip. And for a Hawks team that lacks perimeter defenders outside of Dyson Daniels and Zachary Ricochet, this is huge for the rotation. Now the Hawks will consistently have one near elite guy at the point of attack at all times between him and Dyson Daniels. And they'll also have one of their bigs, Nickeil-Alexander or Kristaps Porzingis, always on the floor, and now you can see the Hawks starting to form a pretty good defense. Nickeil offers some serious length at the guard position with a 6'11 wingspan, and overall he's just a guy with a great center of gravity and a guy who can become very physical on these guard players. And despite playing in the NBA for 6 years, Nickeil really didn't get serious playing time until the last few years, so maybe there's some more untapped upside, and we saw some in the Western Conference Finals on the ball. The idea of Nickeil-Alexander Walker is that he's a good point of attack defender, he's a good and capable shooter, and he can become a third ball handler for the team. His guard skills are also very important playing off closeouts, and when you're playing next to Trae Young and getting a lot of advantages, that's going to be a very important skill. As for Nickeil-Alexander Walker's contract itself, it's pretty solid. 4 years, $62 million. So they're basically saying Nickeil-Alexander Walker is worth the MLE for the next 4 years, and I think that's a fair evaluation. It's a very tradable contract if anything goes wrong, and has long-term upside. And again, locking up your core long-term is a very important thing for the Hawks, and that's what they're doing here. The other player they signed in free agency was Luke Kennard for $11 million on a 1-year deal. Now the Hawks already have a pretty good shooting team after acquiring Kristaps Porzingis, but acquiring Luke Kennard puts them to another level. Kennard is one of the best shooters in the world. He can shoot off movement, he can shoot off the catch, and he's one of the most efficient 3-point shooters of all time. Adding another quality rotation guy, another guy with a lot of shot making, gives this team a lot of balance. And now you can see the offensive juice of the Hawks around Trae Young with all these shot makers, and also the defense forming with Nickeil, Dyson, Porzingis, and Okongwu. Kennard won't be too much of a high minute guy, but he's definitely a good stopgap in terms of a good rotation guy for the next season. Overall, just looking at this Hawks team, and you can see a very skilled top 7. Trae Young, the offensive engine obviously. Dyson Daniels, one of the best turnover generating players in the league and also a capable playmaker. Zachary Ricochet, who has become an elite shooter and has the length defensively to fight. Jalen Johnson, who keeps on taking leaps and leaps and is a potential secondary scorer long term. Kristaps Porzingis, when he's healthy, a top 35 to top 40 player. A skilled 3-level scoring big who can rim protect. Nickeil-Alexander, a great switch big, an improved rebounder, and improving skill on the offensive end. And Nickeil-Alexander Walker, one of the best 3-and-D guards in the league, a capable closeout defender, a capable closeout attacker. The Hawks had a pretty bleak future, and it looked like they might trade Trae Young less than a year ago. But now, I can see the Hawks being one of the best teams in the NBA next season, and one of the top seeds in the Eastern Conference. They've quickly turned around and built a near-perfect team around Trae Young, and they have some young development going forward. They have young prospects, and their overall core is pretty young. Zachary Ricochet is going to improve, Jalen Johnson is going to improve, and Dyson Daniels is going to improve. I'm excited to see where this Hawks team lines up, and I'm very excited to see how they play next season and how they coexist if they stay healthy. If you guys enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate if you subscribed, and I'd appreciate if you liked the video. Comment any thoughts on the Hawks or anything NBA related, and I'll be happy to answer a question. Appreciate you guys for listening. Thank you.